Good morning, my Teaserking family. Hope everybody's okay. Today, I'm just going to look at what line movements we see. You already have all my picks from Thursday, but we can review. I did watch a few highlight games just to get a flavor of certain teams that are smaller that aren't on the big networks where you're like, well, what do they look like? Yesterday, Florida International beats Louisiana Tech in double overtime, and they had a new quarterback out there. So again, but I think it's because the guy got injured, and that's my point, right? The guy gets injured, a new quarterback comes in, throws for 3 touchdowns. So, and he wasn't a runner. So that's why you got to be careful just because there's a backup. And then East Carr beat BYU. I don't remember the score, but they got the win there. So again, BYU has the problems, but East Carr came back. They're a good team. So it was a nice win. I didn't play either of them, but just the picks. So here we go today. So let me refresh. I'm on scores and odds. And it's 10-12. So Vegas should have flipped over. They open at 7. And then there's noon games. So those are, they need time to readjust those, any new injuries. So the injuries we're looking at was Van Dyke on Miami's questionable. The quarterback on Cincinnati's fine. The quarterback at SMU's questionable, Mordecai. Yeah, Miami of Florida, and I think there was one more. No, I don't think so. So those were questionable. Now, a little bit more about Rising in Utah. So apparently Rising hurt his leg in the USC game 2 weeks ago when they won 43-42. I don't know when he did because he took him down at the end. They score, and then they go for 2, which he runs in. He didn't look too injured then, but okay, maybe got injured on the play. Anyway, so they never said injury, right? So it's not like Rising's injured and he's trying to, will he play or not? Like Van Dyke today. I know he's questionable. So I'm taking the proper precaution. I'm not playing the game unless I see the line move in Miami's favor. Because if he's out, I like the game under because they're not going to score. And they're playing Virginia, who's a pretty good defensive team, right? So, Virginia's an under. Miami has a pretty good defense. The over-under is 48.5. Now, if Van Dyke plays, I probably like Miami plus 4.5. If he doesn't play, then I like the under. But I don't know, so it's questionable. So that's what I'm looking for. But with Rising, we didn't get it. But apparently it's not like he got sick, or I doubt it was, well, maybe it was fixed, but I think it was more his leg, and he said it just doesn't feel right, which is weird. He went through pregame warm-ups and everything. So if you're going through pregame warm-ups, you must feel good. It's not like you tested it. It was a night game, so at noon you would have known, like right now my shoulder hurts. I probably couldn't play. I know it right now. If the game's tonight, I'm not going to wait till 10 minutes before the game unless I shoot up, and then I don't feel anything. So that's what was so surprising. And I was watching the tape of the game on YouTube. It's a 20-minute, let's look at the game. And even the announcer said, oh, here comes Rising out because Utah got the ball first. And then Rising didn't come out, and even he was surprised. So everybody was just very surprised. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was the coach or the coach just saying, well, he can do whatever he wants. He's Rising. I don't know what happened, but everybody was just shocked. However, the backup, he looked okay. They had the running back was out. The backup was a freshman, looked okay. Their defense played well. And Washington State doesn't have much of an they got a good offense, but they got some guys injured. And so, late in the game, the guy threw an interception at the Washington State 10, but it was called back for holding, and the guy grabbed the receiver and threw him down and intercepted. So at least they made a call, and then they ran the clock out. So Utah's defense very good, which is surprising, which shows you how good USC and UCLA are, that they lit them up, and then Washington State came to them, and they just did nothing. Okay, so that's Rising. So really, there's nothing you can do. Now, I got to talk about the Cincinnati game. So I had that game played on my site like Tuesday. I got Cincinnati over in a teaser. But I don't hear any news on Chase, right? There's no injury. So as soon as Chase, I hear the news, I pull the game with a comment. I says, I pulled it because if you buy today, I don't want you playing Cincinnati over, because if you're a new customer, right? Because I get customers all week, and I don't want you to play. I want it to be played if Chase is playing. Well, but we didn't know Chase was questionable. If it was like Van Dyke, I don't post Miami until I know. So I got a few comments, and I said, well, it's still a good bet, and I would just trap it. Hey, Bobby. Yeah, a lot of fun. Well, there you go. You got to shine the gold ones up too, if you can find them. So anyway, so I put a comment in which says, if you've already bet the teaser with Cincinnati over, that if the first half of a Sunday game wins, and I've already bet it also. So if it wins, then you can either stay with it or trap the other. It's not like I don't like it. I just don't want to give it out to the new people without Chase. It's obviously not the same over as it was. They're playing Cleveland. It'll probably still go over. But yes, I've got the game bet, and my first half Sunday, if it wins, I'm going to trap the game Sunday. But because I get new play, like a Bobby bought today, and he says, okay, I want your pros. I don't want him betting Cincinnati over because Chase is out. So that's what I did, just so you know, and not to get any confusion. But I'm not like the regular guy who just sits there and posts on Wednesday, like Earl Anthony, and he posts on Wednesday. He makes his picks on Tuesday and goes golfing. I don't do that. I will adjust as we go. Like I said, with Van Dyke or with the SMU quarterback, I'll make adjustments even this morning and tonight for tomorrow. So if Rodgers doesn't play, I'm gonna bet Buffalo, but we won't bet it till then. If Rodgers does play, I'll probably play the over in the Buffalo game. But I might not play it till tomorrow at noon tomorrow at noon, because I don't know the news. So generally, very rarely do I have to pull a game, but I always look at the injuries first. So just an FYI, if I do play a game and then we hear the injury, I'm obviously going to pull it. Obviously, on Tuesday, like Matthew McConaughey. Yeah, well, and I'll go golfing. But I wouldn't have done an Al Pacino either. He wins him $2 million, and the guy gives him $100,000. If the guy asked for 10%, he should have given him 10%, right? Today, Bobby, it's too early for avocado. I got to wait till noon. You can have like water or coffee or tea, but no sugar. And I don't have sugar. It's a diet pop, which still is not really good for you because of the preservative additives that aren't chemicals. But anyway, so with that said, that's what I did on the site. So it's still a good bet. The line's moving now. I still think it'll go over because Burrow's playing, but I just don't want new people to play that game like that. Yeah, Nick. Yeah. So I hope that answered your question, Nick, because I don't want anybody betting it today, playing that game, right? If I knew whatchamacallit was out, or Chase, I wouldn't have done what I did. But at the time, who goes out Thursday? I don't know. Maybe he slipped in the shower. I don't know. But that's all I'm doing. It's still probably a good picnic. For us, I bet it too. I think it's still good. I think if you want to trap the under in the game if we get the first game. So, but that's what I'm trying. So just keep in mind, I get buyers today, tomorrow. All of a sudden, out of the blue, I'll get a Sunday morning. I want your NFL picks because I didn't listen to you Saturday and I took a dump and I need to get back. All right, so let us look. Okay, so it's 10:20. I'm going to refresh this again. So Vegas opens at 7. I don't know this DraftKings and all this BetMGM crap. I'm just going off of scores and odds. So these should be kind of this morning's lines. And what I'm looking for specifically is Miami and SMU if their quarterback's playing. And we'll go to the injured list too. All right, BC 7.5. Where the hell is BC? Where the hell is this game coming from? Okay, BC 7.5, 44.5. Really hasn't moved. Miami of Ohio 8.5, 50.5. 8.5. Now that did go from 48.5 to 50.5. And it's strange as I like it under because of Miami of Ohio. So I'm not sure why there's betting on the over on a Miami of Ohio. It's like betting Iowa over. Like, you got to be kidding me. Florida State 23.5. 47.5. Now that was 22.5, went to 24. Now we're back at 23.5. Okay. Okay, Ohio State, Penn State. And Nick, I posted that last night if you didn't see it. 14.5, 60.5. Syracuse 1.5, 47.5. That's down from 2.5. Not sure why. Toledo 6.5, 54.5. That went from 50. See, they play games. It's 55, 53, 54.5. All these little half-point moves. It's ridiculous. Oklahoma 1.5, 57.5. That's our free game today. Is go under, and it's so now we get 2 more points. So it went from 55.5 to 57.5. We're liking the game under. So who in God's name would bet this game over? You just don't go over with teams like Iowa State, Illinois, Iowa, Georgia. I mean, it's not prudent because they got such strong defenses. You want to keep them under. You don't really want to go bet the over on it. But that's what I'm noticing from these guys on the radio and on ESPN. They're getting more into math and they think it works and it doesn't. And so they'll look at it and they'll come out with some average. They don't know what the hell they're doing. And they'll say, oh, this is like that one guy I told you about where he had I think it was Washington, Arizona game was at 72 and he bet it under because it should only be 70 because he's doing math. And the game goes to 85. And I don't know if I played it or not, but I certainly wouldn't have played it under with 2 explosive teams. You don't know how far they're going to go. And, so that's the point. He's using math to come up with this, I'm going under with 2 overs playing, which that's what I'm saying about this Iowa State game. I mean, they played Texas 24-21, Kansas 14-11. They play it under. Oklahoma's got a weak defense, but Iowa State really won't take advantage of it. But Oklahoma's not going to do a lot against this defense. So that's my point. Anyway. Houston 17.5, 60.5 against South Florida. Houston 17.5, 61 down to 16.5. No big deal. Arkansas 3.5, 60.5. Now that went from 62 down to 16.5. I don't know. Arkansas is explosive. Jefferson and their defense isn't that good, but Auburn doesn't have that much of an offense. Maybe they're finding something. Again, I don't know why it would be under. Both defenses are bad, and we know how strong Arkansas's offense is. But I'd take it. If I got Auburn as the favorite in this game, it's a lock. Arkansas. That's how easy it is. If I get the right team as the dog, I get the lock. But if I don't, um, if Arkansas is no favorite, I can't take Auburn, and it's hard to take Arkansas at Auburn to win. But if it's a dog, then it's a whole different animal. Miami 2.5. Two and a half, 48 and a half. Wrong Miami. I'm looking at Miami of Ohio. Miami up from 1.5 to 2.5. The over-under hasn't changed, so that's not helping me with Van Dyke. I don't know if he's priced in or not. Virginia's one of these really strong defensive teams with no offense, so it's a good under if Van Dyke doesn't play. I have a feeling even if Van Dyke does play, it's a good under because Miami's becoming more, let's run the ball and play defense. Their defense is much better. They're actually an under team this year. See, last year they were an over because Van Dyke comes in, starts lighting it up, and their defense was bad. So that's a perfect over. This year their defense is much stronger, and I got them as an E team, so they're only scoring mid-20s, not 40 like last year. So that's the adjustment you have to make. Van Dyke's still good, but the coach wants to run more, and the defense, he's probably switched schemes, is a better defense. So that's what you have. So it's a better defense. So this game's probably an under Miami, Virginia, but let's see if we can get any news on Van Dyke. It's a 12:30 game on the RSN network, whatever the hell that is. RSN. All right, Rice 15.5, 61.5. That moved down from 16.5, and 60 went up to 61. So a little bit of money on Charlotte and a little bit of money on the over. Although who's running to bet this game? I don't know. Charlotte's playing really bad. Although they got Reynolds, they got nothing else. So this probably will be a high-scoring game, Rush Charlotte, if Reynolds plays well. Minnesota 13.5, 40.5. Minnesota's way the better team. Again, we're looking at the quarterback here. Is Tanner Morgan playing? It's a 40-point game. Rutgers doesn't score a lot. Minnie's okay. They got killed by Penn State. They're at home. They should win the game. I don't know. We'll see. Georgia State 3.5, 54.5. The over went from 56 to 54.5. So a little bit of under betting there. Georgia State's an explosive team. Old D, they were an under team, then had a big game, and then last week they got beat. So I'm not really sure who they are right now. Old D. Okay. Illinois, Nebraska, 7.5, 50.5. That was 51, 50.5, same thing. New Mexico State, 1.5, 38.5. Down from 2.5. Who the hell's betting on UMass? Jesus. 38.5, 39. So I would think it'd be a low scoring game. UMass has no offense. They're the Z team. New Mexico State's a W team. Both have weak offenses. So 39. 39 is a bit low to take, but it is probably an under game. Wake down to 3 from 3.5. Mr. Hartman better be playing. And 65.5. The over went from 63 to 65.5 against Louisville. Okay. Yeah, see, I'm more confident that Wake's going to win, especially after they went to Florida State and dominated them. They've been playing great ball. Clemson, Louisville, they're more of an under team, so I really don't understand this game going over more. Hartman's good, but, they didn't go over with Florida State. I don't think they're going to go over here, especially 65.5. I don't know. I just played Wake. UCF 1 and 55.5. Really not a lot of line movement. I think this is a I like Cincinnati as the dog here. Getting, did I play under? No, I think I played the dog. Cincinnati, I think, is a live dog here. They're a good team. They need the game for the conference. So they're getting a point, which I would have thought they're the better team. I would have thought they would have laid. But this is a game where you got a good team as a dog, and that's what you do. As far as I know, the quarterback's playing very strong defense. I like the coach now. I didn't like him when he coached Ohio State those 10 games and they lost all of them, but he's gotten better and he's this is a good team. UCF runs the ball a lot. Cincinnati will stop that. They're strong defense. Here you're betting the defense. Iowa Northwestern, Iowa 10.5, 37.5. That line hasn't moved. This should be a low-scoring game that won't. The first team to 10 wins, I think. So it'll be another one of those ugly 11-10 games. Oregon, Cal, Oregon 17.5, 56.5. It's down a little, I think, from 57. This is a tough one. Cal's got a pretty good defense. They lost to Colorado somehow. They look really bad offensively. Oregon comes in off of a big win against UCLA. It's hard here laying the 17, after the big win to go to Cal. And then the over-under of 56.5. So normally I'd be all over the over on the Oregon game, but Cal doesn't score. I mean, they got 10 points on Colorado. This is not a team with a good offense, but they have a very good defense. So we'll have to see. I like Oregon, but 11.5 is pretty high. I would prefer them if it was under 7. Like if this was a 12, I'd go 6. That I would do, but 11.5, I think it's a little bit much after an emotional win over UCLA. I don't know what'll happen here, but they've been playing great since the Georgia game. SMU 1.5, down from 2.5, over under 64.5. So we still don't know. Nothing here suggests Mordecai's playing or not. I didn't see a line movement. I like the game over if Mordecai plays. Mordecai's the SMU quarterback. Tulsa's explosive. SMU we know is explosive. 64 is a very reachable over, unlike the 75 in the USC game. But again, you need Mordecai. You need the quarterback to go over. So we'll wait and see. This is a 3:30 game. So hopefully we'll know more by noon. Oak State, Kansas State. Kansas State's 1.5, 56.5. Hasn't moved. Now, both quarterbacks on Kansas State are questionable. I like Oak State as the dog again. I don't understand. They were the dog at home to Texas, and they beat them by 10. They're the dog to Kansas State. Both quarterbacks are questionable. I got them by a 10-point favorite here also. I don't get – they're just like, what am I missing here? Spencer Sanders is good. They got a good defense. They run the ball, good offense. They move it when they need to. They know how to win. Even if Kansas State plays over their heads, it's still, we got 7.5. I mean, I don't understand this line at all. Oak State should be a 7-point favorite. So we're getting a double teaser. So we go from -7 to -1, which would have been our bet, to now +7. So it's a double teaser. So I love that. We had the same thing last week. Temple and Navy. Navy's laying 14.5, up from 13.5. Over under 40. That's okay. I sneezed. It's good luck. So Navy's 40.5. Temple does not score. All right. They got a pretty good defense. They played Tulsa, a very explosive team, 27-17 last week. Something like that. Yeah, 27-16. Tulsa won by 11. And there you got 43. Navy's passing the ball much better. I watched the Navy, I think it was against SMU. I was watching those highlights last night. And I'll tell you, Navy, they were down 40-20, and they threw the ball, boom, 20 yards down the middle. Quarterback looked like a quarterback, and so they're not four runs into the middle of the line for a first down, and we're going to play 10-7 games. So this is a very talented offense, really. They've been scoring in the 30s the last 3 games, so it's not like a fluke. Like Old Dominion, you get a fluke. The running back goes wild on Coastal Carolina. Oh, they're really this, and then they're really not. So you got to give them a few games. Like Georgia Southern, they beat Iowa. Then they had to struggle a little bit, but still covered. And now you can see, they beat James Madison, apparently without the James Madison quarterback, but that's okay. We'll take it. So I don't know. This would be a good defensive team by Temple. Maybe it doesn't have that great of a defense, but they've been scoring. So I honestly think this is an over 40, even though I don't think Temple maybe gets to 10, but I think Navy gets to 30. And you don't even need that because we live in teaser land, so it's 34. I can't imagine this game not getting to 34 the way Navy's been playing. I mean, they put up 34 on SMU and then a big game against Houston. So I can't see how this doesn't get over 34. I mean, Navy will get probably in the mid-20s, but you can't play it over because Temple doesn't score for you. So when you got a team like Temple, you're looking for an under game. So Temple played Illinois, and I think they played Rutgers earlier. I looked at all the Temple scores. I think they got the 27 once against like a Division II team, but it's a lot of low-scoring games. So you can't really play it over. Our Navy's scoring too much to stay under, but you're looking for Temple, like Syracuse, Temple, Illinois. Then it's an under game. Okay. Western Kentucky, North Texas State. This line moved from 10.5 to 9.5. So money going on North Texas. Over under 69.5. Hasn't moved. I mean, North Texas I have as a B team, but they're explosive. And Western Kentucky I have as an A team, which means they have a pretty good defense. And they haven't been going over in the UTSA game where we thought it'd be a 70. It just was fine. It just went scores in the 50s. So Western Kentucky, as they have a good offense, they have a good defense this year. So I don't see this over 69 going over. I think it's a little too high, even though these teams are pretty explosive. But I wouldn't bet this game. I'd bet it in the 50s, but not 69. Florida, Georgia. Georgia's 23.5, up from 22.5. Over under a 56.5 from 57. So that really hasn't moved. I'm calling 44-0 Georgia in this game. I don't know what's Florida going to do. They don't have a quarterback. Their defense is pretty good, which will keep the game, within reason. But I can't see this game being a 60-point game. South Carolina 3.5 over Missouri. Over under 44.5. Now this is down a lot. This is down from 47 to 44.5. So this I have as an under game. Both teams are their quarterbacks kind of throw a lot of interceptions. So I don't know if that's good or bad for an under game because it depends where they throw them and if they're pick sixes. But they're not. Rattler, we know, stinks. The Missouri quarterback's terrible. They both have good defenses, apparently. Number-wise, they're both under. We know Missouri held Georgia down, and then South Carolina, they've been scoring a little, but not a lot. This is 44.5. This is probably a good under at 50.5 with the teams. South Alabama, Arkansas State. Where's that? South Alabama, 9.5, 53.5, down from 55. So a little bit of under money. South Alabama's a strong team. They're the ones who played UCLA 32-31. Arkansas State's an over team. It's in Arkansas State. South Alabama doesn't seem to be as strong on the road when they leave Alabama, but 9.5. I wouldn't play South Alabama. It's the question of over or under 55. Ark State should score. South Alabama, good. It's a hard one. Maybe you go over 47 because it's such a low number with Arkansas State, and South Alabama can score. So we'll see. I'm not betting this game, but we'll see. Marshall, 2.5, 53.5, down from 55. Again, betting the under. Marshall's a very strong under team, beat Notre Dame. Coastal Carolina's had their problems. We love McCall, the quarterback, but outside of that, their defense has been horrible. I think Marshall wins the game, but I don't really want to bet against McCall. But I just think they're at home. They got the better defense going into a week. So you've got a Marshall team with a good defense going against a weak defense. Problem is Marshall doesn't have their quarterback's kind of weak, so he throws a lot of interceptions. Wells, I think, and he came from I don't remember where he came from. I know he transferred in, Grant Wells. So he's not been good. Again, it's adjusting to the new team. So I probably like the game under just with Marshall's defense. Okay, here we go. Tennessee, 11.5, hasn't moved. 61.5, hasn't moved. Love the over in the game. This is the free game. This is a good over. Tennessee, I mean, they put up 50 on Alabama. I think that says it all. Bobby, it looks like South Alabama plays better against the Power 5 teams and struggles against the bullshit teams. Well, it could be that, or it could be the matchup, right? Are they playing? This is a defensive team. So how do they play against defensive teams? They went to Central Michigan and kicked their ass, who's not a defensive team. So they did do that. Yes, they did good against UCLA. And then it's just a question. This is a very strong defensive team. So if you see Coastal Carolina against South Alabama, Arkansas State, they're an over team. They have no defense. So I think South Alabama should score a lot in the game. I mean, theoretically, they should win it, but it's on the road. So that's the question. So Tennessee, you put up 52 on Alabama. I don't think they're worried about putting up a good 40 on Kentucky. 61, so we go down to 55. Kentucky should be good with Levis. And the real key to this is I'm watching the Tennessee-Florida game. Now, we know Florida has no offense, and Florida came back at the end. Tennessee's defense, they don't have one. Now, I referenced Miami of Florida last year, right? Van Dyke comes in, throws 40, gets 40 points, and they have no defense. They're a great over team. This is Miami this year, is Tennessee. Great quarterback. They average 50 points a game, light up Alabama for 52. So they're going to score early and often. They're going to put up at least, I'd say, 50 points in this game, maybe 45 to 50. Kentucky can score. They'll put up, because they know. See, now they know, well, we're fucked. We got to score. You'll get the fourth down bullshit. Maybe they won't go for field goals. Hopefully they get their points. I hate when I lose because the team didn't kick a field goal from the 5-yard line and went for it on fourth down. So we'll see. But this has got to be upper 40s for Tennessee, 20 for Kentucky. Is mid 60s. This isn't even the mid 60s. This is 61 down to 55. This is a 55. Now, people might be looking at this as Kentucky's defense, but fuck that. They smoked Alabama. And there's no way Kentucky's defense is better than Alabama's. It's a big rivalry. I'm not going to play the 5.5, but it's probably very playable. Tennessee at home laying 5.5, but the over is so much better. Now, had this over been 72, I wouldn't play it. See, that's where the number comes in. 61's a joke in this game with a team that probably gets 50, right? It won't surprise anybody if Tennessee beats them 50-20, right? So it'll only be surprising if they only score 20. Then that would be a surprise, but I can't see that happening at home. So I don't see that. So go over. That's the free game anyway. Colorado State, Boise's 25.5, down from 27.5. The Colorado State money's coming in on the Z team. 41.5 down from 43. So people are betting Colorado State and the under in the game. The under I like. Boise, not a lot of offense, strong defense. Colorado State's a Z team. They have no offense. So Boise's going to probably shut them out. I don't like the 25 or 27. I thought the line was too high. I would have played Boise in the teens. Get them under 10 would have been a play because Boise's not scoring at all. So I don't want anything to do with it. Well, they lost to Troy. Yeah. Well, Troy's got a good defense. We don't know what happened in the game, turnovers, weather. It happens, but Troy's a very good defensive team also. But Arkansas State's not a good defensive team. That's my point. Troy is an under team. So South Alabama had trouble with the defense, which is what my whole point and theories are. You don't fuck with the under teams. Those are the teams that will beat you. But if you're playing over teams without a defense, you're just going to score. And that's what South Alabama's got is an over team in Arkansas State. So they should be able to light them up, and they have the better defense. So it's probably playable at 9.5, but I'm not on it. But that's how I would analyze that. So Boise 25.5. They're not the same Boise. They don't score. Very good defense. So, this will be way under if you want to play that. USC 14.5, 75.5. They're out of their freaking minds. It's actually down from 76.5, if you can believe that. What did the computer heads go? Oh, wait, at 70, it's over at 74, but at 76, I'm going under. I don't know. There's no way in hell. The problem with playing a 75 is if USC gets up, they're going to run the ball and they're going to eat the clock and run the ball. The only way this goes over is if Arizona can get the lead and score, which is what Utah did against USC, and then made USC score. That's the only way this game goes high. Otherwise, if USC gets a 20-point lead like they did against Washington State, they're just going to run the ball. Now, Arizona does not have Washington State's defense. Not even close. USC will put up a bunch here. I can see them easily getting in the 40s. Question is, Arizona maybe gets 20, so that's 60. Oh, shit, I need 75, which means I need 69.5, which means I need a 40-30 game. I do like Arizona's offense and quarterback. They are capable. But the number's so high that if they get up 14, then it's run time. It's let's keep the ball away from Arizona's offense. So that's the problem with the 76 in this type of game. UAB 4.5, 46.5. UAB, where are you? UAB. Here it is. That's down from 5.5, 4.5, and 46.5, 47. So we'll leave that. I got the game under. UAB is a strong defense. Florida Atlantic's an even team. They've been struggling offensively. Perry started good, and then he's gone. He's not doing anything. UAB is an A team. I mean, they're very strong. 47. I think it's an under. I mean, you can play. UAB had trouble at Liberty, right? On the road, they had a little bit of trouble, but defense will come. So I think it's an underplay at 47, 53. Yeah, probably be in the 20s. So I think you're fine there. Michigan State 22.5, 54.5. That line hasn't moved. Now, I live here. It's not raining. So that was their fear. Now it's a night game. It could rain later, but at this point, it's dry out. It's cool. Wind won't be a factor because they play 100 feet down in a bowl. So really, wind's never a problem here. 54.5. I like the game over. Too many points in this game to take Michigan. Michigan State plays them very well. This is Michigan State's Super Bowl, not Ohio State. Ohio State's Michigan Super Bowl. But Michigan State is not Michigan's Super Bowl. So Michigan State doesn't like that. So Michigan State's going, this is our game. And Michigan's going, we'll wait for Ohio State. And that's always been the problem. So Michigan State gets pumped up. Michigan's okay. Michigan State Michigan runs the ball. Michigan State scored 20 on Ohio State, beat Wisconsin, who's got a good defense. I'm not sure Ohio State's got that great of a defense this year. Let's see. Yeah, they're an under, but they haven't really played a lot of teams. So this game I like over because I think Michigan, they're going to run the ball with Blake Corum. He gets a lot of yards, where Michigan State is passing, good quarterback. Michigan's weakness looks like against the pass. Maryland lit them up. Penn State, I don't know what happened with Penn State. They didn't show up. One of their touchdowns was a pass interception, so I don't know. But Penn State couldn't stop the run. So we'll see Michigan State try to do that. But this game, all we need is 48, which is 28-21, which we'll definitely get. This game will be probably upper 20s to low 30s. So it'll be about 60, 54-48. Michigan's defense isn't all that, and Michigan State has no defense, but they have a good offense. So this is a recipe for an over game. Arizona State, 13.5, 48.5. Over is up from 46.5 to 48.5. Again, you got Colorado as the Z team, who really sucks, but it is at Colorado. 13.5, 48. Both teams have weak defenses. Colorado's got a really weak offense. I think Arizona State should be able to beat them by 7. Cal doesn't have really that good of a quarterback to do that, to get the win, but Arizona State can score. Again, they've already switched coaches. Morning, Alex. Bobby, with those 75-point overs, one failed fourth down attempt. Well, it's not even that anymore. Yeah, it is the fourth down. It's the turnovers and where they happen and the fourth downs where they happen. Now, in the Mississippi State-Alabama game, Mississippi State went for it 4th and 1 at their own 29. As soon as they did that, the game was over because Alabama scored 3 plays later. And I'm kind of noticing that. There was a game I was watching, and the team went for it on 4th down. They didn't make it, like in their own territory, and the game was over. Basically, the other team scored, and that was it. It was all done because of the momentum switch and everything. So you got to be careful with that. Texas Tech, Baylor. Texas Tech laying 2.5 and 16.5. Somebody needs to explain why Texas Tech is favored because I have no clue. Over went from 62 to 16.5. I got Baylor as a 10-point favorite, and they're a dog to Texas Tech, really. See, I think too many people are looking at last week's game against West Virginia. And this is the problem most bettors have, right? They don't look at the whole picture. They look at the last week. Oh, they killed West Virginia, so they're going to kill Baylor. Baylor is a really strong team. And again, they should be favored. It's like the Oak State game. Oak State's a 10-point favorite. They're getting points. Texas Tech, Baylor's a 10-point favorite, and they're getting points. They got the good running back. They got the good quarterback. I mean, this is just I don't know what the fuck's going on in Vegas that they'd make Texas Tech the favorite. So take Baylor here. Baylor is very live dog in this game. This is a better team getting points, like we did with Oak State last week against Texas, getting points. You got to be kidding me. And Oak State wins by 10. We had them plus 12. I mean, it was a joke. It was like a double teaser because I would have been willing to lay 1 at home, and I got 12, like a triple teaser. So here I would have taken Baylor -7 and laid it to 1, and then now I get +8. So it's a double teaser. So you got to bet it. The worst that happens is Texas Tech does what they did against Texas, 34-31 or something. I don't see Baylor getting blown out. They lost the West Virginia game. The quarterback got hurt, and then they lost Oak State because Oak State's better. But that's it. So they're a very, very solid team, as we saw last year. Ole Miss 2.5, 54.5, up from 1.5, down from 3.5. So it goes 3.5, 1.5, 2.5. Over under 54.5 and 55, not much. A&M's a puzzle. I mean, their quarterbacks absolutely suck. They got a great running back. In the Alabama game, can anybody explain why they didn't pitch the ball to the great running back on 3rd and 4th down at the goal line and let him make a move and he would have scored? And instead, the quarterback tried to throw, and you can't throw at the 2-yard line. There's no room. Plus, they come right after you. They blitz you. There's nowhere to throw it. But if you can run, it doesn't matter. If you can run, you're going to score. That's why these good running teams are the better teams, like the Giants. That's why they're winning. They run the ball down your throat. So I don't know. Mississippi, they got killed by LSU last week. They're a road favorite. I don't see this. Both defenses are under. It's a 54.5. I would say the only way to bet this game's under. We got burned by A&M last week on the last-second field goal on the under against South Carolina, but they ran the kickoff back 100 yards, the opening kickoff. So you know your under's in trouble when you give them 7 on the first play. However, we're not going to count that, but I think this is an underplay. Pitt, North Carolina 365.5, down from 3.5, up from 64. We all know North Carolina. Now, North Carolina is an over team. Pitt, I don't know what's going on with them. Slovis has not been Slovis. They had a good game last week. I don't know if they're going to light it up. I don't know. Based on what I'm looking at, he's throwing too many interceptions. I think they have a new offensive coordinator, and I think that's the same problem that Van Dyke's having with the new coach, that he wants to play more defense and run the ball, and he's fucking up Van Dyke. I think the same thing here. Slovis is getting screwed up. I like North Carolina laying the 3 more than anything else, more than the over, because North Carolina had that over game with App State. Everybody thinks they're over. Well, they played Miami, it was 27-24, and they played Duke to a 35-31. That was a 66. And Duke's a lot better than Pitt offensively, so I don't think this game gets that high. I don't think North Carolina's an over team anymore. I think that one game put them over, but they've been playing much stronger. I like their quarterback's got like 18 touchdowns and 3 picks. So I think Carolina, I think this line's a little bit low. I have it at 7. And 3's low enough, but the over, if the over was in the 50s, maybe I go over, but in the 60s, I don't. All right. Middle Tennessee and Utah. Small page 2. The last few weeks, the page 2's going 10, 12 games. This week it's 5. UTEP 2.5, 52.5, hasn't moved. Good luck trying to pick that game. Maybe Middle Tennessee's a live dog because they're an over team, and UTEP's kind of a weak offense. But other than that, I have no idea. Fresno State 10.5, 42.5, up from 8.5. Good Lord, is Hayner playing? Although I thought he had a broken ankle, so that can't be it. 10.5 and 42.5. So this game jumped over. So the money's on Fresno State and the over, and I don't know how you play an over against San Diego State. I don't see that. Fresno State, I don't understand that bet at all. Until Fresno State shows me, without Hayner, the other quarterback's lousy. I'm not laying 10.5. San Diego State's a good defensive team, so they can fuck you up. As is Fresno State has a good defense. So I think this game's an under. I don't know why it's going from 40 to 42.5. That's a bargain. Take the game under. UCLA Stanford, my UCLA 16.5 and 64.5. Now that 63, I think it went to 66, and now it's back to 64. I didn't see any injury because I noticed it drop, and I immediately go, did somebody get hurt? Well, I don't see an injury on either team. We'll go to the covers, but they probably won't have it yet. We'll refresh this before we leave and see what's going on. I like the over in this game, of course. UCLA will put up 50 on them. Stanford scores. I mean, they get you 20 a game. McKee's not bad. They got this strange offense. The read option where the quarterback's got it in this running back stomach for 25 minutes. I've never seen him hold it that long before in my life. But most teams have it figured out. But the Stanford can score 20 on UCLA. UCLA will light them up. They'll get their 50. So it's an over 64, 58. I mean, anything in the 50s with UCLA is a joke unless they're playing Washington State or Oregon State. That's a different story. But Stanford doesn't have a defense. So this is explosive UCLA going against weak defense Stanford. I love it. So there you go. And then the last game, not the last game, Nevada, San Jose State, 24.5, 44.5. I got 45. There's no way in hell I'm betting on San Jose State right now. They're an under team, good defense. Nevada's a weak. So San Jose State should win the game. But again, I don't like the 24, although Nevada stinks. They lost to Hawaii. So San Jose State could win the game. I think it's an under 45. Nevada's not going to score in this game. It's just how much will San Jose State score. And last but not least, Wyoming 11.5, up from 10. So money's going on Wyoming here. 50.5, 50. That hasn't moved. So you got to really be out of your mind to start betting Hawaii games with Wyoming. Maybe at Wyoming I could lay the points, but not in Hawaii. All right, let's go to covers. So really, I just want to look at a few injuries: the Van Dyke, the SMU. Alex, what did you hear on that? On Mordecai, is he playing? Alex is in Texas, so he should know what's going on with SMU. Bama. Let's see. So who are we looking for? Miami. See, Cincinnati, their quarterback's not even on the injured list, so I like them. They got one linebacker out, but that's it. I mean, I don't worry about the defense as much. Let's see. Hayner's still out with a broken ankle. He'll be out for a while. Georgia's got a DB out, and Milton, the running back's a groin. A lot of these guys are out for already a month, so you don't pay attention to them because they're already playing without them. Georgia Tech's quarterback's questionable. Hawaii's quarterback's out, Cooper, but who is he? Is he the starter or the backup? That's the problem. They should bold if it's the starter, because now I got to go into my other worksheet and see who's Hawaii's quarterback. Illinois got two running backs questionable today, which would be good for our under. Iowa State's clean. Kansas is off. Kansas State. So Kansas State still has Martinez questionable with a lower body and Howard questionable, undisclosed. He departed last game with an ailment that hasn't been announced. An ailment. What the fuck does that mean? So you don't know with Kansas State. They're both questionable. So, I'm assuming they're both healthy. I'm still taking Oak State. Kentucky, a linebacker is out, and a wide receiver is questionable. So nothing major. Let's get to Miami. Marshall, Maryland. Miami, Tyler Van Dyke, quarterback, questionable Saturday, upper body. So really no news. We'll have to check the line again shortly. We'll check it at 11:30. Michigan and Michigan State are pretty clean. What is LS? What is there, a left safety and a right safety? I mean, I never heard that before. Usually it's a strong safety or just they just call them safeties or DBs. So that's it. Mordecai still questionable. Thank you, Alex. Yeah, well, Van Dyke's he's still showing questionable. Minnesota, Tanner Morgan's questionable with the head. So he's got a concussion. So he's probably in concussion protocol. And then they're waiting, he probably has to get tested today. So that would be an under if Morgan doesn't play, because then they'll just run Ibrahim. Mississippi State, nothing. Missouri, couple of wide receivers. Navy's fine. NC State, well, we know Larry's out. Nebraska. Northwestern, Helinski is still questionable with concussion. Now, Northwestern plays Iowa. So this would be a very strong under if Helinski is out. We don't know. He's questionable with concussion. I don't see a line movement. 10.5, 37.5 was still what it was. So hard to say. But if he's out, then I think the Iowa under at 37.5, where I think it's low, is doable. That game is, I don't know what time that game's at. It's probably a 3 o'clock game, Big Ten, but it's not one of the noon ones. Notre Dame, O-lineman out, tight end out, tight end out, tight end out. They got 3 tight ends that are out, but it's not even their stud tight end. And, of course, they're starting quarterback. Ohio State, Smith Nigba, supposedly this good receiver. He's probable. Quarterback's questionable, which is good for our over. Linebacker out, which is good for our over. Tight end, that doesn't matter. So even the injuries help you in an over-under, right? So if we're betting the Georgia under and all of a sudden these Florida wide receivers aren't playing, that's great for our under. That's what you want. But if the top 3 defensive players are out, then you're hoping that's on an over game. So you can't really play that on an so that's where the injuries will help you on an over under. So for Ohio State, it's good that the cornerback and the linebacker are out because we bet the game over, right? Oklahoma, defensive back. Oak State, they're clean. Thank God for that. Oregon's clean. Oregon State, we know Nolan's out. What was the game? Utah. Well, Utah, their quarterback's out, their running back's out, their tight ends out. The 3 best players were 2 of them didn't play Thursday, and the tight end got hurt scoring a touchdown. But they don't play for a week, so we'll have to see. But I'm hoping that Rison's sitting out, he'll play next week. The running back's okay. He's a great running back, but if he doesn't play, the backup looked okay. The tight end's very instrumental, and he looked good, so we want him to play. Penn State has a wide receiver questionable. I'm sure he'll play. and a tight end who's out, which we don't care about, and that's it. So I don't have a lot of injuries. Purdue and Rice to Rutgers. Rutgers quarterback, I don't think it matters. San Diego State, nothing there, which would have caused the line to jump. They're playing Fresno State, and there was nothing I saw in Fresno. So I don't see an injury for San Diego State jumping that line. San Jose State's clean. South Alabama is clean. South Florida, they lost a running back and a wide receiver. And their quarterback, Bohannon, who came from Baylor, is out for the year. So they lost some offense. So who did they play today? I think they play today. Maybe not. Yeah, they're playing Houston. So it's probably not a bad. Houston's 17.5 against this beat-up team. The backup quarterback. And, now again, I don't know if these are starters or backups that are injured, so we'd have to get a little bit more in depth. But I know Bohannon was the Baylor quarterback. He was the starter, and he's out. So it could be a play. USC, they got 20 guys on their injured list. It doesn't really matter. 2 linebackers are questionable and a wide receiver. But they've had a lot of guys on the injured list anyway. SMU, yeah, Mordecai's still questionable. Stanford, a running back's out, which is I don't think that matters. UCLA is going to put up a 50. And Syracuse. Now this starts, we'd like the game under. A defensive back's questionable. Another defensive back's out. And and that's it. The D lineman's out since September 28th. So really it's just one defensive back who's questionable. He'll probably play. This is Notre Dame. So yeah, everybody plays against Notre Dame, right? Temple, Tennessee, wide receiver Tillman. This is the All-American. So they've been doing this without their best. This is like Jerry Rice, right? He's probable with an ankle. He had ankle surgery 5 or 6 weeks ago. He is probable. He will play today. That's even more points. This guy is Jerry Rice. So you have him playing. You have a defensive back probable from a suspension. So that's all you got on Tennessee. They're pretty clean, and they just got superstar back. So it's bigger over. Texas wide receiver. I don't even know if they're playing today. A&M. Who cares? Both quarter. King's playing. Oh boy, that'll really help him. I mean, he's terrible. What the fuck? Come on. TCU, nothing. They're clean. UTEP, clean. Texas Tech. Shaw, the quarterback's probable. I looked at his stats. I didn't oh my God, it's Joe Montana or anything. Running backs probable. Wide receiver probable. Both of them. So I'm not worried about that. That's just, if they were out, it's one thing, but that's okay. Troy, Tulane. UAB, now be careful with UAB. Their quarterback, Hopkins, is good. He's questionable with the concussion also. So you might want to maybe play the UAB. They're playing Florida Atlantic. Yeah, you might want to play that over or under. If he's questionable, he's got a concussion. So he's going to have that concussion protocol. I like the game under against Florida Atlantic anyway, but if UAB doesn't have their quarterback, it's definitely an under because how are they going to score? Florida Atlantic's an even team. They'll put up mid-20s and they'll give up mid-20s. UCLA, nothing. They're clean, thank God. UL Lafayette. My Lou Lafayette let us down on Thursday. The quarterback played. He looked good, but their defense didn't show up. That's the problem playing the quarterback. That's why I play more overs and unders. The quarterback's out. Mordecai's customer. Use that for injury news. Georgia Tech quarterback Sims is out. Toledo quarterback is out, and Van Dyke's out. Thank you. Van Dyke's out. Okay, so play Miami under. Miami's 48.5. Let's check the spread. Well, let me see. I'm almost done. So Brumfeld for Vegas, questionable. Utah already played. Ute State Two quarterbacks are questionable today. The other one's out, so they're already up to their third stringer. Virginia running back out. Well, he's been out. V-Tech. So V-Tech's playing Miami. No, Virginia's playing Miami. So Virginia's got really the two running backs have been out for a while, and V-Tech. All right, Wake. Hartman's playing. That's all I care about. Washington State already played. West Virginia. Running back out. That's good news. We bet against them. Wisconsin, the whole team's out in Wyoming. All right, so let's take a quick look at the Miami line. Betting with the professor. So this is a perfect example. This, I think, is the 12:30 game, so I'm going to have to post it like right now. I still show it. Let me refresh. That's the problem. You go into the page, you think it refreshes. It doesn't unless you do it. Okay, it's still 2.5, 48.5. So I'm gonna play the game under. So this is live betting, right? Played the game under 48.5. I'll go under 54. And is Helinski playing? He didn't give me the Northwestern quarterback. The news on Van Dyke is that Jake Garcia is expected to start. Well, he's injured, Van Dyke, so that's good. And then West Virginia. Anyway, what's the news on Northwestern quarterback? He's questionable. If he's out, then I'm going to play an Iowa under, Miami of Florida under. But all I see here, well, let's see. Do I have anything on Northwestern? 10.5, 37.5 hasn't moved. So I don't know if they've already priced in that he's not playing or not. I missed your comment on what site you're on. You say use that for injury news, but maybe you put the site in, but I don't see it. Anyway, so now we add Miami under to the mix. And who do I want to play it with? I know who I'm going to play with. I got a pro game I'm going to play with. So I got a few minutes to add this, so I better add it soon. Iowa's 3:30. Miami's 12:30. So I am going to my site to post this Miami game. It's an hour. I hate posting this late because unless you're, go to the site, but that's where I'm unique. It's a good play. We should play it. So therefore, I'm going to post it. But I hate posting this late because, so say you looked at my picks this morning or last night. Oh, I got them. And then, oh, wait, I didn't see this Miami of Florida game on there. All right, so let's add that. Halloween on Monday. So Miami of Florida under. Yeah, I think we'll just play them with Iowa under. But I'm not going to play them too big, 48.5. and we'll play them. I'll play them with Iowa under 37.5. Ouch, 43. A little bit low, but no, I won't play this too strong. So what I do is, like, I had Lou Lafayette in a teaser, and then what I did is it lost. So who I teased it with, I played in another teaser somewhere. Yeah, I played him in another teaser. And then Utah I won. And I have that with Michigan over, so no need there. Okay, so I'm going to assume even if Helinski plays, it ain't going to be much. So that's the teaser I just played. Miami of Florida under because Van Dyke's out, and they got good defense, and Virginia's got good defense, and Iowa under because it's Iowa. And if the game gets to 10, it'll be a shock. I really hope TCU don't get their first loss from a sorry-ass West Virginia team. Well, I hope they don't either because I took TCU today. So let's quickly go through some of the games. So I think Oak State's a live dog against Kansas State. Ohio State, Penn State, I think should go over. Houston, South Florida. I like Houston with all these injuries to South Florida. Syracuse, Notre Dame under. Toledo, Eastern. Well, wait, you're saying me Toledo's quarterback's out, so we don't go over on the game. We were going to go over. We'll forget that. I didn't play it. Let's see. TCU, I like against West Virginia and the over in that game. West Virginia's quarterback throws a lot of interceptions, so I think that'll help TCU. And TCU is explosive as hell. There is the site for injury news. You like Pitt, North Carolina over. I don't. Sorry, Bobby. There's the site for injury news. Well, what is the site name? You're not giving me the name of the site. You're just saying use that for injury news. But there is the site for – because I'm in covers. That gives me the injury news. No. Not here. Maybe when I'm done, it'll show. Just email it to me, and because I'm not, maybe I don't see links in the chat, but I will see. Maybe when I'm done, there'll be links in my body. I don't know. I don't know how it works. That's okay. Don't worry. Just email when you get a chance. It's not a big deal right now. So TCU, West Virginia's quarterback's kind of weak, so I like them. Oklahoma, Iowa State, that's our free game. Is take our Iowa State game under because nobody scores on Iowa State. Miami, Virginia, I just played it under. Charlotte, Rice, I think, is an over game. They both have terrible defenses. Rutgers, Mini, like it under. Is Morgan out, did you say? You didn't say. I don't see him. Okay. It doesn't matter. It should be a low-scoring game with Rutgers. Old D, Georgia State, I have no idea. Iowa, Northwestern, every Iowa game is played under because they haven't hit 30 points yet. UMass, New Mexico State, two terrible teams. Z teams, probably an under. Georgia, Florida, definitely an under. I don't know. You can play Georgia if you like. 23, you lay in 17. Seems like a lot. I think Georgia's 44-0 is my call. Oregon, Cal, probably. I'm worried about Oregon being flat after the UCLA game. And they're on the road at Cal, who's a very good defensive team with no offense. I can't play the game over. And I'm really scared to play Oregon minus 11.5 here. If I was getting under 10, I could play it. But I think it's like the Washington game. Washington played Cal last week, 28-21. And it's the same team, Washington, Oregon. A lot of field goals, very strong defense. I can't touch it. Certainly can't play it over. Illinois, Nebraska. I like Illinois, and I like the under. Wake Forest, I'm going with Hartman. And now you're laying 3. You get 3. That's a good number. Navy Temple, I don't know what to do here. I almost like the game over, but Temple is like Iowa. They don't score. Pretty good defense. Cincinnati UCF, I like Cincy as the dog, and I like the game under. Western Kentucky, North Texas, the over is too high. I think you play North Texas in the 15. They're a pretty explosive team here. SMU Tulsa, Mordecai is still questionable. So I don't know if it's a night game or a late game. I know it's not a noon game. If you hear he's playing, go over with it. If you don't, well, the spread should drop. But if he doesn't play, just leave it alone. Then maybe you take Tulsa in the 7.5. South Alabama, Arkansas State. We talked about, I guess, South Alabama. South Car, Missouri. This game's under. USC, Arizona. I like USC. The over is way too high to play it over. You cannot play this game under. You either play it over or you watch, and I watch. But I think USC is down to 14.5, I think. So I know I've seen some tickets that I've got with my family, and it's 8.5. So I guess it is 14.5 at some point. But USC, they're the better team off of a loss. I look for them to win. Marshall, Coastal Carolina, probably an under with Marshall. They beat Notre Dame. I don't want to bet against them at home with Coastal Carolina that's been playing crappy. So it's maybe a Marshall game or an under. UAB, Florida Atlantic. I like the game under, especially with the quarterback who's out, I believe. Boise, Colorado State. I like the game under because Boise can't score. This will be like 20-0. Tennessee, Kentucky, that's the other part of the free play. So the free play is over Tennessee, under Iowa State. This game will be, 62, 56. That's a joke. That could be halftime score, 56. Michigan State, 22 is way too many points. I like the game over. They scored a lot on Penn State, who's got a much better defense. Michigan State beat Wisconsin, good defensive team, and Ohio State. They got slaughtered, but they put up 20 points. So I'm giving Michigan State the 20 they got against Ohio State. Michigan will get in the 30s as a 50. We only got 48 here, 47. So there you go. And no rain at this point. Again, it's a night game. Mississippi, Texas A&M. You got to bet A&M under. Their offense is terrible. Baylor, Texas Tech. I like Baylor as the dog here. You could probably play it over at 60. It should get over also, but I think the dog is the better play. Arizona State, Colorado. I like Arizona State. Colorado is just terrible. North Carolina, Pitt. Bobby, you like this game over, and I'm not sure I like 64.5. I think I just like North Carolina getting 3. I honestly think that's the better play than the over because the over is pretty high and Pitt's been playing like crap. And North Carolina's defense is really not that bad. So I think this is possibly a North Carolina game. You always like to test me, Bobby, with your last week was the Mississippi LSU game. You like going to left field on me, don't you? UTEP 2.5, 52 against Middle Tennessee. I think you play Middle Tennessee again as a weak favorite in UTEP. Fresno State, San Diego State, 42.5, 10.5, go under. San Diego State always plays strong D and doesn't score, as Fresno State without the quarterback doesn't score a lot. San Jose State, 24-5 against Nevada. San Jose State should win the game. It's a bit high to 24. But Nevada's just terrible. UCLA 16.5, 64.5. I like this game over. Stanford will give you 20. UCLA will give you 50. So over's the play. And then Wyoming, Hawaii. Wyoming laying 11. Both teams have weak offenses. I think this is an under. Wyoming has a strong defense. not Hawaii. So that's the game. So the free game again, Tennessee over and Iowa State under. I have 4 locks going today in college, and I have, I think I have, excuse me, and I have 4 in the pros. So I have a lot of locks. But again, I don't have any number in mind. I don't know if I'm going to lock a game. If it fits, if the shoe fits, I'm wearing it. I'm locking it. If it doesn't, I don't lock anything. So I'm on a nice tier with my locks. Very good. No, Pitt's not at home. The game's at North Carolina. North Carolina's laying 3 at home. What you looking at, Bobby? You got the wrong glasses on, or what? No. North Carolina's at home. LSU came through last week. Yeah, they won. I don't know who you took though, but we'll give you LSU. But I couldn't find a reason to play LSU because their quarterback doesn't throw the ball to Boutte. And as far as I'm concerned, I can't bet a team like that. But yeah, check your Pitt. It's at North Carolina. Anyway, so 4 locks today, 4 locks tomorrow. I mean, if you just bought the locks, you could play a nice 18 teaser with the locks. I do play. If you want me to play with you, there's one guy we do teasers together. I get 20%. Alex, we do 10 teamers together. There's others I do 4 or 5 team teasers, 9 team, 10 team. One guy, we tried doing a 10 team teaser and they wouldn't take there was one game they wouldn't allow. It was like, well, why not? Like, what the hell's going on? So we couldn't play it. So we played a 9 teamer. So I give you the picks, and then you make the bet, show me the slip, and then if it wins, I get 20%. If it doesn't, I don't get anything. My goal is obviously to give you the winners, so I get my 20%. So, and I'm not Earl Anthony. I don't make you bet $500 million that you don't have. Oh, God. Let me understand that movie. There's some guy who's a billionaire with a big yacht. He's betting $1 million a game in football. Really? Why the hell? I mean, that seems very strange to me. See, if he buys gold, Bobby, forget about it. Won't be any gold left instead of betting on football. So I'm going to take a venture over to the coin store and see what he's got. He had a lot of Liberty. He had a lot of the $35 ones, but after watching some of the shows yesterday, it's just going to go. In the show yesterday, I show in Pakistan, the gold went from 1,800 to 151,000 an ounce, and it's coming to a theater near you. So get in if you can. Otherwise, I think that's it with football. I want to stick to the topic. Game starts in a half hour. Let me jaunt through the spreads one more time to see anything weird happen. All right, so let's refresh and one last time through it. Anything strange? Let's see, BC 7.5. That didn't move. I'll just go to the big games. TCU 7.5, 68.5. Hasn't moved. Florida State 23.5, 47. Hasn't moved. Ohio State 15.5, 60.5. So that moved from 14.5. This is what it gets weird in Vegas. It was 15.5, then it went to 14.5, and now it's back to 15.5. The 60.5 hasn't moved, so the under on the game. It's a little cool, but for Ohio State, Penn State shouldn't matter. Don't want another grown man calling him at 3 a.m. crying hysterically after a huge loss. if anybody makes a huge loss, they can afford it with me because you only bet more when you win, and then you increase your bankroll and increase your bet. So you about to load up on some more coins. We'll see. I'm pretty loaded now, and I'm going to Europe, so I got to save some money for the trip. But I don't know. We'll see what he has. But it just seems like such a it's still 35 for silver. I got to buy it before it hits 2,000. I love when I hear some of these guys on TV. They go, "Well, they could hit $100 an ounce," and I'm like, "You have no clue what you're talking about, buddy." Wow, Notre Dame has moved to a 1.5-point favorite. Wonder what's going on there. And over under 47. So the over under didn't move. So here comes the Notre Dame money, which makes me really like Syracuse. Howard, are you back in Michigan or still? No, I'm in Michigan. I've been here since April. Too many. I couldn't handle the Alabama people. Tuesday. They're worse than Ohio State people for us Michiganers. Let's see. So for some reason, Notre Dame's gone favored. But the problem is it's a noon game. So if you want to, just stick with the under. Toledo 3.5. Let's go. Oklahoma 1.5 over Iowa State. Hasn't 57.5. No change. The Houston 17.5, 58.5 with South Florida. Now that's gone down. That was 61. Is now down to 58.5. So under action going on Houston, South Florida for some reason, which really doesn't make a lot of sense. Arkansas still 3.5. Miami 2.5, 48.5. I would have thought that would have moved with Van Dyke out. I can't understand that. Unless they already factored that in. Minnesota 13.5, 40.5. So we don't know about Tanner Morgan. Illinois 7.5, 50.5. Hasn't moved. Wake. Now Wake's back to 3.5, 65.5. So it went down to 3. So there's no manipulation going on here. Goes down to 3. People make the bet. Now it's back to 3.5. UCF 1, 55.5. Hasn't really moved against Cincinnati. Iowa 10.5, 37.5. Nothing's moved. Oregon 17.5, 56.5. Hasn't moved. SMU 1.5, 64.5. Now, why hasn't SMU moved if Mordecai's out? It makes no sense. Is he out? Or no, he's still questionable. Should have come to Houston. Well, I should have went to Vegas. I might be going to Portugal. My Astros choked it last night. Oh, well, sorry. I haven't seen the baseball, but you got Verlander going. All right. Kansas State, 1.5, 56.5. Hasn't moved against Oak State. Georgia, 23.5, 56.5. Hasn't moved. Tennessee, 11.5, 61.5. Haven't moved. SC 14. There you go. There's the 14 I was telling you about. So I went from 15.5, unless I just didn't adjust it. 14, 75.5. The USC is very live, -8, I think. Especially off of a loss. They lost to Utah, so they're pissed. Michigan, 22.5, 54.5. Hasn't moved. Arizona State, 13.5, 48.5. And TCU, 2.5, 16.5. Nothing moved. North Carolina at home, 3, 65.5. And UCLA, 16.5, 64.5. Really hasn't moved. So there's really the only big line movement was the Notre Dame game. We're now their favorite because all that. Verlander is the one that choked a 5-run lead yesterday. Really? Wow. That's surprising. Did they take him out or did he choke it? If they took him out, then that's why. Andrew, hey, my car needs $1,000 worth of work. I'm not a car mechanic, but I can give you some games and you can make $1,000. But again, it's Canadian. Send me a winner. Send me some money. You got the winner. He choked it, not the bullpen. Wow. That's surprising. But I don't blame the coach for not taking him out because once you take him out, then all of a sudden they can hit. They're playing Philadelphia. Okay. Yeah, that's a World Series. I gave you the free play, Andrew. The free play was given on Thursday. Verlander gave up all 5. Okay. What inning was it? Like real late in the game or 6th, 7th, 8th? So your free play, Andrews, Tennessee over with the Iowa State under. There's your free play. Two in the third. Three in the fourth. Wow. And they had a 5-0 lead, in the first, second inning. Yeah, that's you're welcome, Andrew. Say hi to Carrie for me. 2 in the third, 3. Well, were they home runs probably? He gives up a lot of home runs. So who's pitching tonight? Anyway, so again, if you lose an early teaser, so let's say you really like UCLA over and you got them teased with somebody earlier and the game loses, then I tend to bet UCLA with the pro team tomorrow. So that's what I do. I do a lot of that if I need to. So in other words, everything goes according to Hoyle. I don't touch it. But if I lose an early game and then I have the later games that I really like, I'll tease it. I'll re-tease it with a Sunday game tomorrow. What's the ERAs? So did I give a free pro game? I don't know if I gave free pro. I think I did. I should have. No, I'm not sure. Yeah. So what I would do, so for example, you could play a late game. You can play the UCLA game with New Orleans, Oakland, which I gave as a free. Play that over. That's my free Sunday play. So that's how you kind of, if you really like the teaser, and that's the problem with them as 2-teamers, you've got to win both to win. But with the 6 points, it helps us. But that's what I do. Sometimes I'll let it go if it's a weaker game. I'll just okay, it lost and move on. But like I had Lou Lafayette with Wake Forest, so I played Wake Forest again. Even though now Utah, I had 1, so obviously I leave that open. And then you can trap the teaser, which we did Monday night with New England, where we had New England -1, and then the Bears go to 8, 8.5. And I had a lot of money on New England, so you trap it with the Bears and 9. You can only trap one that's 1. So if Team A wins, now Team B is open with the 6 points. Now you can trap it. And you can bet the other team straight. So in other words, so let's say I had Dallas with New England. Dallas won. New England's Monday night. Lane won. I got a lot of money on it. I don't want to risk it because I had a great weekend. So then I can take the Bears in 9 or 8.5 for half of the bet, and I can win them both because this is a teaser. So I'm laying 1, I'm getting, let's say, 9. So if the game goes 2-9 or 2-8, I win both. If it's 9, it's a push. So I get my money back, and then 1's a push. So it's really like a 9-point trap. I can't lose both bets because one of them has to win, and Chicago won. So I lost the teaser, won the money back on Chicago, so it broke it even. Bobby got to run up to the barber shop for a cut. I'll see you in tomorrow's class. Okay, Bobby, have a nice day, and I will let you know what the gold guy says after this. He's open till 3 today, so I'm curious what he's got. Anyway, so that's some teaser strategies. Just be careful where you bet at. Like BetMGM is like 13-10 on the teasers. I don't even play there. So try to find your best odds and try to find your best lines also. So I guess that's it today. A lot of games played, but they're all, we're playing them. Hopefully we don't get any Utahs where Rising says 10 minutes before the game, I'm not playing. There's no way you can control that because you don't even know it. The line didn't even move, so they didn't even know it. So, I'm hoping Hartman plays at Wake because I got Wake, and then Hooker plays at Tennessee. So if Hooker doesn't play, we're fucked. But I think he plays. And what the coach said about Rising is he wants to play. It really had to be a bad injury, or he had to really be feeling bad because he does like to play. Anyway, so we got the noon kickoff soon. Then the 3:30. So I usually go and then get back for the 3:30 games because I can't watch all day. And then we got the night game tonight, UCLA, which is, I hate that 10:30 game. Then you're up till 2 a.m. waiting for the score. So anyway, I think that's about it. Any other questions, comments, anything? There you go. Free pick, Tennessee over, Iowa State under, and big game, Georgia, Florida. I think Georgia 44-0. Michigan on Michigan State. I think that's an over game. I don't see rain here, so it should be all right. Anyway, I think that's it. I'll give you a few more minutes. Any other questions or comments? Please let me know. But I think that's it. Let's see if I got any emails. All right, Alex, I got your email. Okay. All right. No questions or comments on the emails. So that's about it. So if you do want to get me, www.teaserking.com, send me an email and I will respond. I check that all the time. The others I don't check. Like I can't check here, but I can check the email. So if you have questions or comments, but I try to go through all the games. So like if you're questioning like SMU Tulsa, I went through the game. So you kind of have my ideas. Again, obviously I don't bet all these. I'm only betting certain ones, but go from there. So that's what I'm looking at. So it should be a good day. I've been pretty hot in college the whole year. It's been everything's been going according to Hoyle, so we'll see. Hopefully we'll have a good day. I wish you good luck and make a lot of money. And we'll be back tomorrow about 11 o'clock for pros. I do 10 o'clock for college because of the noon kickoffs, but 11 o'clock for the pros because of the 1 o'clock. Remember, there's a London game tomorrow. The Denver-Jacksonville game is at 9:30, and Russell Wilson's probably still doing jumping jacks on the plane in the aisle, which I had to laugh about. So it sounds like he's playing. If he's doing jumping jacks, I guess his hamstring's better. Anyway, so that's about it. Good luck, and www.teaserking.com. I'll see you tomorrow at 11 with the pros. I think that was it. I'll go check gold and silver now at the store. He's running out of gold and silver, and buy your silver as quick as you can because that's really about to move. So we'll see. I did show yesterday the Pakistan gold went from 1,800 an ounce in the morning to 151,000 an ounce in the evening. So it's coming here. It's all bank collusion and all bullshit, but it's going to come. So anyway, good luck. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Okay. Thank you very much. www.teaserking.com. Have a nice one.